Melon Thomas Benedict, an ordinary man living a life filled with difficulties and doubts, was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer. Upon receiving the grim news, he not only faced the fear of death but also endured a sense of despair as life seemed to lose its meaning. The doctors told him that his time was limited to months, but fate led him on a miraculous journey that no one could have predicted. One morning, at the nursing home where Melon was being cared for during his final days, he died. Death did not happen immediately. It was a prolonged moment during which Melon began to realize something was changing. His body gradually lost sensation, but his consciousness remained, still alert. And then Melon embarked on a journey that no living person could fully describe, a journey into death. All began with Melon sensing a powerful beam of light shining through the window. At that moment, he briefly woke up before quickly slipping back into immobility. However, this time, he was no longer in his body. As he looked down, he saw his motionless and frail physical form still lying on the bed, but his mind had escaped from that body. A feeling of lightness and stillness enveloped him as if he were floating in the air. When he tried to approach his caretaker, Melon realized that he could no longer control his physical body. Everything around him seemed to blur, and a sense of fear began to take over him. Not long after, darkness surrounded everything, pulling him into a void. Melon felt as though he was falling into a deep black hole where there was only loneliness and absolute silence. But this was not the beginning of the story. To understand more about what happened to Melon, we need to go back to the early days of his life. Even as a fetus in his mother's womb, Melon had to endure pain and fear from the very first moments of life. His father, an alcoholic and violent man, frequently beat his mother throughout her pregnancy. Each blow, each scream of his mother was transmitted to Melon through his nervous system, causing him to experience unbearable pain and fear. From within his mother's womb, Melon had already faced violence and suffering. These experiences left deep scars in Melon's mind, though he was unaware of them. As he grew up, he lived with simmering anger, unable to trust anyone and unable to open up to anyone. He always acted cheerful and humorous at parties, but inside, he always felt empty and lonely. His life was a series of days spent avoiding the truth about himself and his past. Melon grew up in a world full of turmoil. At school, he was shown films about nuclear war, about the destruction humanity could bring to the planet. Images of death and devastation haunted his mind. And when the environmental movement gained momentum, Melon began to believe that humanity was a cancerous disease of the earth. He felt that mankind was destroying everything around it and that human life was meaningless. This culminated when Melon saw a famous aerial photograph of Los Angeles, which looked like a spreading cancer cell. In his mind, a thought formed: humanity itself was the cancer of the planet, and he, a part of humanity, had inadvertently created the cancer in his own body. It was at that moment that he realized he had created his brain cancer through his negative beliefs about humanity and himself. After being pulled into the deep black hole, filled with darkness and solitude, Melon Thomas Benedict began to feel as though he was sinking deeper into an abyss with no way out. There was no sound, no light, only an infinite sense of fear and despair. It seemed that he was trapped forever in the darkness. Suddenly, a small light appeared from afar. At first, the light was faint and distant, like a tiny star twinkling in the black night. Melon realized that this light was the only thing he could focus on, and with an inexplicable force, was drawn to it. As Melon moved closer to the light, he began to realize that he was emerging from the darkness, and a sense of relief gradually spread throughout his body. The surrounding darkness began to fade, and before his eyes appeared a scene that no words could fully describe. It was a brilliant light, not like the physical light he had known, but a pure light filled with warmth, peace, and boundless love. To Melon, this light felt like the presence of a higher being, a divine energy, perhaps God or some great power. At this point, Melon began to perceive the nature of reality in ways he had never thought of before. He no longer felt fear or loneliness, but instead experienced a profound connection with the great energy of the light. Melon could not explain it in words, but he felt that this light was life itself, the source of everything. As he got closer, he began a dialogue with the light. Though no direct words were spoken, every question in Melon's mind seemed to be answered. The first question Melon asked was, why is humanity so dark and cruel? Why do people have to endure suffering and fear? The light did not respond with words, but it conveyed to Melon a powerful feeling of love and understanding. In that moment, Melon realized that all the suffering, darkness, and cruelty he had believed in regarding humanity were mere illusion. The light showed him a vast image, like an infinite mandala containing the souls of all people who had ever existed. In it, he could see that all souls were pure and free from any darkness or cruelty. Melon realized that everything he had believed about sin and human cruelty was wrong. Darkness and cruelty did not truly exist in the essence of humanity. Everything was a manifestation of fear and ignorance. When illuminated by the light, Melon saw that there was no evil in the human soul, only love and understanding. During this process, Melon not only saw the souls of others, but also saw his own soul. He was astonished to find that his soul was completely pure, without any trace of the darkness he had believed he carried throughout his life. He realized that the fear and anger he had harbored all his life were unnecessary because his soul, like all others, was always pure and perfect. This moment of realization felt like a nuclear explosion in Melon's mind, shattering all the old thoughts and beliefs he had held onto for his entire life. He realized that love and light were the true essence of life, and that everyone, including himself, deserved that love. This feeling was so strong that Melon felt as though his soul was being reborn. He not only felt love from the light, but also from all the other souls in the vast mandala he had seen. It was a love Melon had never felt before in his life. Pure, unconditional, and boundless love. After experiencing this, Melon felt a profound change within himself. He no longer feared death, nor did he carry the anger or despair he had before. He understood that death was not the end, but merely a transition in the journey of the soul. More importantly, he realized that the human soul was always pure, never tainted by any sins or mistakes made in life. Even souls that had committed the worst acts, such as Adolf Hitler, would be cleansed by the light when they came near it. Melon realized that to move toward the light, the soul must learn to let go of all darkness and negativity. But he also understood that letting go was not always easy. Resisting and clinging to the darkness only made the journey more difficult. He had been trapped in the darkness until he learned to forgive himself, accept his life, and love him. When he awoke from the near-death experience, Melon felt a deeper love and appreciation for life than ever before. He recalled the moment when his caregiver found him on the floor, and he was whispering, "I love my life." What Melon realized after this journey was that the human physical body is the greatest vehicle, experiencing time, space, and the universe. Despite the suffering or misfortune, life is always full of potential, and even the worst day can be a miracle when viewed from the soul's perspective. After his encounter with the light and being reborn in unconditional love, Melon Thomas Benedict felt not only saved, but also enlightened about the nature of life and humanity. He realized that each of us is not just a simple physical being, but an immortal soul, carrying within it boundless creativity and potential. Every action, every thought contributes to the reality we live in. All are connected to a greater energy source. As Melon continued his journey with the light, he began to see the panoramic picture of humanity's evolution. He was taken to a place where time and space no longer existed, a state he described as the infinity of the present. Here, Melon was shown everything that had happened and everything that would happen, as if he could see through the past, present, and future in a single glance. In this state, Melon witnessed an incredibly vivid image of humanity. He saw all the souls of humankind, from the beginning of life, the distant future. He understood that humanity, despite having gone through much suffering and conflict, still carried within it enormous potential, growth, and evolution. He saw that every human being was valuable and that we were all divine beings in the process of learning and maturing. Melon realized that life was not just a series of random events, but a journey with deep meaning. The hardships, sufferings, and challenges we experience are only a small part of a larger plan. Every soul comes into this world with a purpose, and every experience, whether of suffering or happiness, contributes to the growth of that soul, bringing it closer to the light. Melon was also shown that humanity stood at a great turning point in its evolutionary history. He saw that humans were beginning to become more aware of their connection to the universe and to each other. The development of technology and knowledge not only brought material comfort, but also opened new doors to a deeper understanding of the nature of life. Melon saw that the future of humanity was bright, even though the present might be filled with difficulty and challenge. During this journey, Melon was also shown a vision of what he called the greatest potential of humanity. It was an image of people having overcome conflicts, wars, and suffering, living in peace and harmony with each other and with nature. He saw humanity becoming the protectors of the planet, knowing how to use resources sustainably and respecting all forms of life. This was not a distant dream, but a real possibility if we chose the right path. One of the things the light emphasized to Melon was the importance of love and forgiveness. Nothing in this world was more important than love, and love was the key to unlocking the door to enlightenment. Melon was reminded that every soul had the ability to forgive, not just others but also themselves. Forgiveness was the first step to freeing the soul from darkness and moving closer to the light. Melon was also taught that death was not the end, but merely a transitional phase in the journey of the soul. He realized that our souls never die, but only transition from one state to another. We do not experience just one life, countless lives, and each life contributes to the soul's growth. The process of reincarnation, or the cycle of rebirth, is an essential part of the soul's eternal journey. One of the most astonishing aspects that Melon witnessed was the existence of other civilizations in the universe. He saw that humanity was not alone, but just a small part of the vast picture of life. There were other beings in distant places in the universe, living and evolving. Melon was told that in the not-too-distant future, humanity would have the opportunity to make contact with and learn from these civilizations. This would open a new phase in human history, as we began to explore the universe not just through technology, but also through spirituality. Melon realized that life on Earth was a precious opportunity for the soul to experience and learn. Every day, every moment was a gift, and we needed to appreciate it. Even the worst days could become sources of inspiration if we learned to view them from the soul's perspective. After experiencing all of this, Melon returned to his body with a completely new outlook on life. He no longer feared death or suffering. Instead, he had a deep sense of gratitude for everything. He understood that life was a journey and that every soul had a divine purpose. The physical body was merely a temporary vehicle, but our souls were eternal and always connected to the light.